How's it going, everyone? Roseman here today with another Decklist video. Today I'm trying something different. I'm going to do it with my actual cardboard deck instead of showing you guys on the sim. So without further ado, let's get into it. This will be a deck list for the purple-black Monkey D Luffy leader from OP09. He is a 5k leader who has a Dawn times 1 effect. All of your characters will gain +1 cost. And a your turn once per turn effect. When 2 or more Dawn cards on your field are returned to your Dawn deck, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active, and add up to 1 additional Dawn card and rest it. So a leader that can help you to basically not go down on Dawn during your turn. We're going to set him up here. And first we have 4 copies of the OP09 Trafalgar Law 1 cost searcher. He is a 1 cost 2k. He has a 1k counter, and his on play ability is to look at the 4 cards from the top of your deck, reveal 1 Straw Hat Crew or Heart Pirate type card with a cost of 2 or more and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of the deck in any order. That is a great searcher. You're going to be using that to find your Zoro, your Robins, or if you have those already, maybe a Rusher for later game. But let's look at your first target you should be looking for when you are using that searcher. First target is going to be OP09 Roronoa Zoro. 3 cost 5k, does not have any counter. On play, you may return 1 or more Dawn cards from your field to your Dawn deck. Add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. Great turn 2 play. You'll send 2 Dawn down, using your leader ability and the card's ability to come back up by 3, so you're actually ramping on that turn. Again, we are running 4 copies of this Zoro. Next target for your Law Searcher is going to be the new Starter 26 Purple Nico Robin. 3 cost 4k power. She is also a 2k counter. On play, you Dawn -2, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. Arguably a little bit better than the Zoro. Obviously, you're not going to get as much utility from a field perspective with her, but she is also that 2k in hand, so really good to pull into later. You can continue to ramp if you're wanting to do that, or you can use her for counter. Again, we are running 4 copies of her. Next, we'll continue going through some of the 2k counters we have in the deck. The next one I have is OP09 Nami. 3 cost 2k, it obviously is a 2k counter. On play, you may return 1 or more Dawn cards from your field to your Dawn deck. Give up to 2 rested Dawn cards to your leader or one of your characters. Can be a very good card to play if you're trying to utilize some rested Dawn or if you don't have many other plays. But mostly in the deck as a 4 card 2k counter. Our last 2k counter in the deck is the Starter 18 Usohachi. 3 cost 3k power. It is obviously a 2k counter as well. On play, if you have 8 or more Dawn cards on your field, rest up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. This is a really good utility 2k because obviously you get the 2k counter if you're going to use it that way, but you can also use it for resting like some of your opponent's low cost blockers if they have some of those on board. Again, we run 4 copies of the Usohachi. Next, let's look at a couple of our 1Ks. I run the OP05 Purple Eustace Captain Kid. 5 cost 6k and 1k counter. This is a blocker, and on your turn, when a Dawn card on your field is returned to your Dawn deck, add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck and set it as active. Can be really good in that mid to late game if you're sending Dawn down, and you can continue to kind of ramp back up if you need to, but it's also a huge 6k body. I like to run this over the Frankie blocker. I experimented with the Law blocker from EBO2, and I just found that for me, this works a lot better, getting that extra Dawn as active, because you can trigger him and your leader ability and get 2 active, even if you only have, 2 in your Dawn deck. So you don't get your full leader ability, but you do get the 2 back as active, which is arguably better than 2 active and 1 rested. So again, we have 4 copies of that. Next, we have 3 copies of the OP09 Sanji, 7 cost 7k, 1k counter. On play, you may return 1 or more Dawn cards from your field to your Dawn deck. This character gains Rush. Then rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less. Really good one to have if your opponent has some low cost blockers, or even some mid-range blockers, so you can get past some stuff if you need to. I run 3 copies of him. Next, we're going to get into some of our non-counter cards, but really good utility. I run 2 copies of Starter Deck 14 Sanji, 5k or 5 cost 6k. On play, if you have a character with a cost of 6 or more, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. So that's a pretty good removal card. You can get some blockers off board using that. If you already have like your Sanji or some of the other cards we have coming up in the deck list already on board, the Sanji doesn't need any extra cost to trigger his effect. But if you're playing him on like turn 3 and you're at 6 Dawn, you can put 1 onto your leader and then play him because he will come in as a 6 cost. He sees that there is a 6 cost on board and it will automatically trigger his effect. So that's cool there. A little bit of removal. Again, we have 2 copies of that. Next, one of the most important in the deck is Starter 26 Monkey D Luffy, also lovingly referred to as Barrel Luffy. This is a 6 cost, 7k power. On play and when attacking, you'll Dawn -2. If your leader is multicolored and your opponent has 5 or more Dawn cards on their field, your Straw Hat Crew type leader's base power becomes 7k until the end of your opponent's next end phase. It's important to note that it changes the base power. It doesn't just add 2k to your leader. One thing of note in this is your opponent does have to be at 5 or more Dawn for this ability to take effect. So for most decks, not too big of a deal. Watch out for your Reiju matches, and be aware you can't play this too early. Well, you can, you just won't get the full utility out of it. Just note that it is an optional effect to return the 2 Dawn. So if you play it and your opponent doesn't have the 5, go ahead and feel free to not Dawn minus yourself that turn. That way you don't have to worry about going down any. You still can if you want to trigger leader ability and get 1 back as active and 1 is rested. So if you wanted to use that 1 Dawn for some utility, you absolutely can. Just note, again, you're not going to get that 7k base if your opponent's not at 5 Dawn. So again, we have 4 copies of Barrel Luffy. Next, we have 3 copies of EBO2 Monkey D Luffy, 6 cost, 7k power. If your leader is multicolored and your opponent has 5 or more Dawn on their field, this character gains Rush. When attacking, you may return 2 of your active Dawn to your Dawn deck, set this character as active, and then add 1 card from the top of your deck, top of your life cards to your hand, sorry. Another thing to note on this one is it does also qualify that your opponent has to have 5 or more Dawn. So important you watch out for that part. Another thing is you do need to be sending down 2 active Dawn for his when attacking ability. Obviously this means he can attack more than once per turn, or if you're worried about somebody trying to swing into this to remove him that way, or if you're worrying about a deck that has like removal for rested characters, you can use his when attacking to restand it and protect him from that. Really cool. Don't forget you do take a life when you use that when attacking ability. But this is what I like to call one of the win con cards in this deck, because in that late game you can absolutely just put a bunch of Dawn on this thing and swing big, get your when attacking ability off, triggering your leader ability, and swing super big again. So cool card here. Absolutely love this one. It has won me more than a few games. Next up, we have 3 copies of the OP09 Secret Luffy. 9 cost, 10k. On play, you may return 1 or more Dawn cards from your field to your Dawn deck, draw 1 card, and this character gains Rush during this turn. Super cool here, a huge body. Obviously, you send the 2 Dawn down to get your leader ability off. You get a card back, so it's a net neutral play, and you get Rush with this card. Super fantastic, huge body, really hard for your opponent to kind of counter out of this one. So I run 3 copies of that guy. Next, we're going to get into the events we run in this deck. A staple in all the Luffy decks right now is, of course, OP09 Gum Gum Giant, 1 cost counter event. On counter, you don -2, trash 1 card from hand. If your leader has the Straw Hat Crew type, up to 1 of your leader or character cards gains plus 4k power during this battle, then draw 2 cards. So it becomes a net neutral in cards used. You do go down to Dawn, and because this will be done on your opponent's turn, the Dawn -2 will not trigger your leader ability, but that's quite okay with the plus 4k power you get for that battle. Super good, plus the cards you draw into. Obviously, you can use an event counter and extra cards in hand during the same battle resolution. So if you're trying to get out of a really, really big swing, you can use the cards you pull off of this if you have nothing else. So fantastic card. Obviously, if you have more than 1 Dawn open, you can use more than 1 of this card as well. Obviously, you just have to meet its qualifiers every time. Next, we run 2 copies of OP11 Gear 2 1 cost event. This has 2 parts. It is a main and a counter. On main, you may rest 2 of your Dawn cards. If your leader's color include blue, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and rest it. The counter for 1 is up to 1 of your leader gains plus 3k power during this battle. This is only in the purple black build for that 3k counter ability, because your leader does not include blue, so you can't do the Dawn ramp ability. That is really geared to the blue purple Luffy build, which I'll have a deck list on that soon as well. But we run 2 copies of that for a little bit of extra counter in hand. Next, we run 3 copies of OP03 Gum Gum Jet Gatling. It is a 0 cost event, and on counter, you may trash 1 card from your hand. Up to 1 of your leader or character gains 3,000 power during this battle. It also has a trigger. You add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck and set it as active. Super good one to see early in life. If you pull it off your top life, it's probably worth using it to ramp. You can always pull it in the hand and reserve it for counter later. But we run 3 copies of that, and it's one of only 2 triggers in the entire deck. The second trigger being our last event, which is from OP09. It is Gum Gum Lightning, 2 cost event, main, Dawn -2, KO up to 1 of your opponent's characters with 6,000 power or less. Also has a trigger of adding up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck and setting as active. Again, we have 2 copies of this. It is a removal card, so it's in there to kind of help remove some low cost blockers or some mid-range guys, but for the most part, you're not going to have to worry about that. You're going to have your EBO2 Rush Luffy, you're going to have your Barrel Luffy, you're going to have quite a bit on board, so that's not too much to worry about. But again, there's 2 copies of that, and that's going to wrap up that deck. That is all 50 of the cards we have in this build. If you guys like the build, please let me know. Give this video a like. If you have better ideas as to what could be done differently in this, or if you have your own questions about why I'm running certain cards, I'd love to chat with you guys down in the comments. And if you like content like this, these deck lists, please feel free to subscribe. I have some more deck lists like this coming up soon. With that being said, though, that's it. See you guys.